Here's what nobody warns you about in calisthenics. Tendons heal slower than muscles. Most people get this wrong and end up injured or in pain. Hey everyone, Daniel Vadnal, physiotherapist here for Fitness FAQs. I've dedicated my life to learning how to maximize performance and decrease pain. Let's dive deep so you don't make the same mistakes. Muscles recover in a matter of days. Tendons, they can take months. After a hard workout, you generally feel sore muscles for around 1 to 3 days. The DOMS peaks around day 2, especially if you've been doing the same workout for a while. This is the reason why most workout splits have you hitting a muscle group 2 to 3 times per week. It gives you enough recovery for that DOMS to dissipate, especially at a local level, so you're ready to hit the same muscles and movements once again. Why are tendons so slow to respond to our training stimulus? Tendons, they lack the vascularization that muscles enjoy. There's not as much blood flow, oxygen, and nutrients going to your tendons, which means that it takes longer to clear out all of those waste products that happen from your workouts. What's shocking is after 6 to 12 weeks, you've only begun the early to mid-term adaptations of a tendon. To make long-term adaptations with your resilience and tendon thickness, it can take many months to even years. This mismatch between muscle recovery and tendon recovery causes issues for nearly everybody doing bodyweight training. People think that because their muscles have recovered, they're ready to do as much as physically possible in a workout. No muscle soreness equals recovery is treating the body like a simple machine. It doesn't factor in the rate of connective tissue adaptation, let alone CNS fatigue. It really pains me that tendons healing slower than muscles isn't spoken more about in the calisthenics community. Most people lack patience and aggressively overload. Trying to push themselves to the maximum every single workout is flawed. Beast mode training 100% of the time isn't smart. Pain in your tendons or joints makes you weaker. The body, it's going to inhibit your strength if you're in pain as a protective mechanism. We can all relate to some aches and niggles appearing when we push through pain. Eventually, the body wins. We're forced to drop the intensity, lower the volume, or change our exercises or workout strategy completely. Seriously guys, one of the most common causes of plateaus in calisthenics is overuse injuries, which are caused by aggressive overload. We've really got to settle down in our bodyweight training and do things smarter. A classic example is golfer's elbow, which is an overuse injury on the inside of your elbow. You don't have to get this. If you know how to train properly, you can avoid all of these aches and pains which many people succumb to because they don't know how to train correctly. You have to act like a professional, treating your body with the respect it deserves if you want to have longevity and keep making gains well into the future. Adopt an attitude of patience. Instead of making gains in a matter of days or weeks, extend your expectations. Start thinking of your training cycles in 12-week blocks because we have to understand this tendon adaptation takes time. You want to be the tortoise and not the hare because slow and steady gets the gains. If you want to fast track pain and injury, this is all the mistakes you'd make and how you would train incorrectly. Plyometrics are the least joint and tendon friendly style of training. Here's why. Doing really fast reps where you're not controlling the negative isn't a good idea. The reason we tend to use this explosive tempo is because it makes us stronger. Just think about how much weaker you are when doing a pause pull-up or a pause dip compared to just banging them out continuously. That bounce from the bottom is the difference. We're benefiting from the stretch shortening cycle, which uses stored energy in the tendons to make us perform better. Basically, your body is like a coiled spring that's being released when using that plyo form. There's a reason why people in their 40s and 50s who are working out tend to use a slower negative. It doesn't beat up the body as much. Now, this isn't to say that plyometrics are going to get you injured or going to cause you pain. There's plenty of younger athletes doing plyos with no problem. It's just that really fast reps makes that tissue load to recovery equation harder to manage. The most tendon-friendly training tempo is as follows. Control the negative, using your muscles as brakes. Pausing at the bottom is a nice bonus because it reduces load going through our tendons. Finishing with a fast concentric where you're trying as hard as you can to produce force is good. For most exercises, a 3-1x speed works best. 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, and fast up. Another risk factor for injury is increasing 2 variables at once: reps and weight lifted. I think people overestimate how much they need to do from one session to the next. There's a myth that you need to be adding like 5 reps and 5 kilos to every workout and every exercise that you do. Honestly, this is a bit overkill and you're getting diminishing returns from pulling 2 levers of intensity at the same time. This sudden jump in training load when done too often can increase your risk of overuse problems, or at the best case scenario, you're going to plateau, which isn't ideal either. Double progression is a smart way to get stronger without rushing. Instead of increasing reps and weight every workout, you focus on one variable at a time. Pick a rep range like 8 to 12 reps, stick with the same weight or difficulty until you can do the top end of the range, 12 reps for all sets. Only then do you increase the weight and repeat the process. I almost exclusively use double progression because it keeps me honest. In the past, I used to add reps and weight, but my form would go to trash. I'd be using a fast tempo to cheat strength or cut my range of motion. Or I'd make the mistake of adding extra sets to fool myself into thinking I was having a good workout. But in reality, I was getting the worst of both worlds. This extra junk volume, that 4th or 5th set, meant that I just go through the motions and my intensity would be lacking. Also, my workload was much higher and I'd be beating up my joints and tendons without any additional gains. It's sustainable. When done correctly, you can ride linear progress for many weeks in a row by comparison to increasing reps and weight. That's only possible to do for a workout or two unless you're a complete beginner. Most importantly, patient progress is the name of the game. It gives your tendons that precious time that it needs to adapt to gradually increase in load capacity. Please don't go from doing 3 upper body workouts per week to 6 upper body workouts a week. Making a sudden change in your frequency quickly increases your total work, but it also simultaneously reduces your rest days. You're burning the candle from both ends, so to speak. It's important to keep an eye on your total volume when changing your training split because you can mistakenly do too much too soon. Make sure that you're calculating how many total hard sets that you're doing a week of pushing, pulling, and skill work. Going by feel without a training plan is a recipe for disaster. How can you manage what you're not measuring? Trick question. You can't. A one-way ticket to Snap City is training to failure all the time, especially on low rep strength training. The amount of fatigue you're generating is excessive. There's a point of diminishing returns to the rate of progress when you're going 100% all the time. In theory, you only need a small increase from last session to spark progress in the scheme of things. Don't get me wrong, we still have to train hard. Going around 80% of our 1RM is beneficial for getting stronger. It's just that training to failure all day, every day, this meathead mindset, we're beyond it and we can do better. The deload is the most ignored tool in calisthenics strength training and one of the most essential. A deload is basically an easier week of training that allows you to rest and super compensate, coming back bigger and stronger. As you can see, there are many methods of deloading, but the overall goal is the same: to reduce fatigue. A popular strategy that I recommend is a volume deload. For example, cut sets by 50% but keep intensity the same. If you usually do 3 sets, just do 1 to 2 sets but keep your effort relative to failure the same. This keeps your body firing on all cylinders with intensity strength work, but it gives your tendons a break from high volume training. A deload is superior to a complete week off because you're still practicing the skill of exercise. By continuing to practice your technique, you're maintaining that muscle memory so you still have mastery over the movement. Compared to a complete week off, sure, you'll feel well rested when you're just watching Netflix all day, but when you go back into your training, your calisthenics moves are going to feel a little bit awkward and it'll take time to get used to that activation once again. A deload is a lifesaver for preventing burnout. It's something that you should proactively be doing every 8 weeks or so. You'll also feel it's time to take a deload when you get these following signs and symptoms. You're losing motivation to train calisthenics. Usually you love training, but lately you've been dragging your feet. You've had slow progress, plateaus, or you've even been regressing in your training for multiple weeks. These are signs that you may be overreaching and need a deload. Lastly, your joints, your tendons, and your body just feels achy and beat up. It's a sign that you need to take things slow. Sometimes taking a step back, deload, allows you to take 2 steps forward, supercompensate. Calisthenics is a different beast, especially those straight arm exercises like planches and front levers. This isn't bodybuilding, where you can hit a muscle hard, rest for a couple days, and then go again. Remember, Tendons take many months to recover, especially with these bodyweight skills. Calisthenics is a marathon and not a sprint. I constantly remind myself of this and my students because it's just so much fun pushing the limits of the human body. But this passion for training can be your worst enemy when the enthusiasm is not channeled into a long-term vision. The truth about unlocking superhuman strength is you need to train smart and hard. If only there was a program that I could follow, a step-by-step guide to put all this in place for me. The good thing is, I've done so for you. Check out the top link in the bio to get my calisthenics programs, where I give you a step-by-step guide to take you from beginner all the way to advanced. No pain, just gain.